So Vicky Holland, you've done pretty much everything in the sport, but something new today. Did you enjoy it, and what is it like at this experience end of your career having a new challenge?
Yeah, I mean, it was a new challenge, definitely. It was probably as awful as I thought it might feel. Racing as hard as you can in a very hot environment, it's probably not my forte on the poolside here. I like to be out on the roads, but I did want to give something else a try. And to be honest, coming back from pregnancy with absolutely 0 points to my name, this was an opportunity that I sort of had to come and do because there are quite good points attached to this race. And I did not benefit at all from a pregnancy policy that's come in a bit late to help me. So it was a case of turn up and see what you can do. I've been sick since Hong Kong. I've done about 4 days of training since then. So it was always going to be incredibly hard. And that is what I found today, to be honest.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, actually. You know, how are you? Because we saw, you were solid in Hong Kong, but in terms of what you felt, you're capable of with the illness, then you went to Levison, a disappointment there with the DQ. So it's been as you know more than anyone, sports is ups and downs. So how are you sort of feeling now ahead of a very important sort of, particularly next 6 weeks of the season ahead?
Yeah, I mean, before I went to Hong Kong, I was actually really pleased with what I'd been able to put together over the few months beforehand, and felt like I was in really good shape, and that I was actually really excited to go to Hong Kong and see, what I could do. And I was disappointed predominantly with probably the first 100 metres of the swim, and that was kind of decisive for me, I guess, in a lot of ways. I was really pleased with how I rode and ran there, but that wasn't enough for a really top result. Off the back of that, immediately got sick, unfortunately, as did a lot of the athletes who raced there, and chose to go to Levison because I was on the start list. It was too soon for me to really make a decision on the day that I had to travel to go, and unfortunately I was still not really feeling particularly well on the day of the race, and made a mistake that I didn't even know I'd made. Didn't take a penalty because I didn't realise I had one, and that unfortunately got me disqualified. And that was really disappointing, because I think that was the sort of race that I could have actually really enjoyed, running around the track there. Coming from a track background in my youth, I still love running on the track whenever I can. So I was really excited about that race, and so absolutely gutted that I'd managed to get myself there through all the sickness, think I'd qualified through my heat, and then find out I was disqualified. And to be honest, if I hadn't been disqualified, I probably wouldn't be here. I probably would have gone, you've had enough illness now, just take some time and regroup. And as for the next 6 weeks, well, a lot of that is sort of out of my hands. I don't know what racing I'm going to be able to get. First and foremost, I need to just put down some training again and get myself fit, which I think will come relatively quickly. I'm not too worried about that. But as for what racing I can get into, I'm relying on an invite from World Triathlon. I don't have the points, so it could be a big race in May. It might be not such a big race in May, and I just have to wait and find out.
Yeah, I guess you've probably been on the other side of the strength in depth of British women's triathlon for a decade. I remember speaking to you, I think it was here or at an event last year, a remarkable stat. I think you've been on every single British elite team at every championships for something like 10 or 12 years. It was remarkable, and now you're sort of on the other side of actually getting into a race to have the opportunity to potentially do it again. So I guess that's good. It's good for the sport, but it's a challenge when you're slightly on the back foot.
I mean, it shows how amazing we are in Great Britain that we have this challenge to get back into races, and the same with the American girls. They faced exactly the same. And I am really pleased that World Triathlon do now finally have a policy that would protect people who want to go off and have a baby. Because if you just think about any other job in the world, where would you be, top level, managerial level, for example, in your job, go off and have a baby and have to go back down to, basic pay on the bottom rung? Like, you would never get demoted, for having a baby, or you shouldn't do it, it'd be illegal. Whereas in sport, that's essentially what's happened to a lot of us who've gone off to have children. And unfortunately, with the timing of when I had my daughter, I just had a few months less than some of those other girls to get back in and to try and get those points. And so it's just a bit of a scramble, and I think that's probably the biggest thing I'm learning, is how hard it is when you're on the back foot to try and get the points. When you're chasing, it so rarely works, like that constant chase to try and get the points. So it's been a whole new adventure, I'd love to be able by the end of this season to say that I can get the starts that I want to get and, for example, go to that grand final and in my own right have earned that start. That would be a really nice sort of full circle moment to say that I was at this level, I took time out to start a family, I have my daughter now and I'm back and I'm racing at that standard again. That would be a really nice way, I think, for me to possibly sign off.
It's quite interesting because I think we in triathlon and sport, but I think the public generally is sometimes quite guilty of just thinking there's the Olympics and if you don't get there, it's like either you've won or you're lost if you're not there. But actually, sport, triathlon, everything else, it's more than just that. So it's really encouraging to me to hear that you're sort of thinking, beyond that. Hopefully you can make that opportunity, but it's not. That's the only end goal.
No, I mean, I didn't even know if I was coming back to sport after having my daughter, and it was never all about the Olympics. Like, I knew that would be too big, sort of lofty goal to just be super focused on that. I think that was always setting myself up for a lot of barriers and potential disappointment, and that's not to be sort of negative about it. It's more out of respect really for the other girls that we've got who are as amazing as they are and are no doubt going to be pushing for those spots to go to the games. And like I've just said, it's hard enough just to get onto a start line with them, let alone to be able to contest. And if I am given an invite by World Triathlon to get onto a start line in May, I'll do everything I can and I'll just have a free shot. But I've got nothing to lose. I've been to 3 Olympics. 4 would be amazing, but it's not the be all and end all. There's a bit more to this story for me now about coming back from having a baby. I think there's not that many people who've done it in short course triathlon. We're seeing more now, but there's never been that many people who've done it. And I think as well, I've got rheumatoid arthritis as well, coming back and showing that you can still be very, very active whilst managing that kind of condition as well. I think that's really important to me too. And yeah, there is definitely this element of kind of full circle, come back to the level I was before I had a baby, because I think that's really important. I've done it right at the end of my career, but there might be women who want to do it a bit earlier on and want to know that they can get themselves back to the level that they were.
And final question, it was something you just mentioned there. You've spoken about the arthritis. I saw you on I think it was BBC Breakfast, and you were talking about that. How important has that been for you to, I guess, share that message and some of those experiences with other people? Because a lot of this stuff sometimes is not talked about, and I guess there's always a balance between, do I want to share everything with the world and maybe not, but actually I can add some value by doing that.
Yeah, and it was something I wasn't really sure how or if I was going to talk about it, and I was also very conscious I didn't want it to be like a woe is me sort of story, because actually for me it's been a real positive story. I had a lot of problems pre-pregnancy, and then whilst I was pregnant that I didn't know what they were. And in the build up to the last Olympics I had a lot of problems with my shoulders, and it was really inhibiting the swimming I could do, and we didn't know what it was, and now we've got an explanation as to what was going on there. And so far the medical care I've received since my diagnosis has been really good. My condition is currently completely under control, and I know that there probably will be times in my life where that's not the case, but right now I'm in a really good place with it. And I think that is something that you hear, that you've got an autoimmune condition, that it's lifelong, that there's no cure for it, and you think, oh my gosh, this is pretty heavy and I'm going to be on medication for life. But actually I would say the impact on me of having to take this medication is so minimal compared to what it gives me back, that it's actually a really positive story of you can still do all the things that you sort of want to do.
Fantastic. Well, keep up the good work. It's been fantastic watching you. Well, it feels like 14, 15 years.
It probably has been.
There's a few more to come, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, Sean. Cheers.